So, in that video on gender confusion that I did with No Thank You, I think I made myself out to be rather conservative on trans issues, which I think I'm actually not. Um, I think I'm generally pretty like liberal centrist on gender, while at the same time being like a radical gender abolitionist, which is I suppose more of an anarchistic stance, while at the same time also believing in the fairly alarmist notion that we are in the preemptive stages of a potential genocide of trans people. Um, this was something that the leftist YouTube streamer Vaush was, really sounding the alarm bells about, much to the chagrin of just about every person on the internet. People were pretty mad when he was making this point out there. Um, and I kind of disagree with the framing that he took when making the point. I feel like it was kind of an opportunistic thing, just to in a kind of like Rush Limbaugh esque fashion, get his side all riled up and go, oh, the Civil War is gonna happen. It's gonna happen any moment now, guys. Seriously, just so they at the same time they donate to his stream more. They also run out and agitate and get riled up, as these sort of extremist political figures without much integrity tend to get their people to do. But I think there's some truth to what he was saying. And that is the fact that if you look at these laws that are being passed all over the country, targeting at first children under the auspice of child safety and grooming, um, we've now seen a lot of the same figures who pushed for those laws, um, pushing for Medicaid no longer, supporting hormone treatments and the like, and actually outright banning the practice to adults, even if they pay for it themselves. And I think with how aggressive the culture is getting on trans issues, you can make a pretty good point that a lot of those like hooting chuds who have these like community armories in the mountains of the Pacific Northwest or like the American South are just waiting for civil unrest to occur, for them to run out into these cities and have at it on trans and gay people, or go to a pride march and just gun people down. I mean, if you look at this mass shooting that occurred not too long ago in Colorado Springs at Club Q, it was one of these sort of deranged, um, you know, conservative white men, going out there and just having at it on a minority group. Um, the point that I made in that video was that in many respects, trans people are like the Jews. And this is kind of an incendiary, like, loudmouth point to make. Um, but I think it's true. Um, and I don't think I gave, like, the full extent of my opinion in that video. Um, you know, before the Holocaust happened and anti Semitism got, sort of a revival in Germany, I mean, it was always there, but, it started really picking up steam again. One of the social democratic chancellors that they had was Jewish, and many of the economic hardships um, that the country had, the Nazis blamed on that Jewish person. They said, this chancellor we had is part of the global cabal that has been selling out our country, systemically raping our country. And look at his ethnicity, it's right there. Look at all these bankers who are Jewish. It's right there, right? Um, and I think you look at trans people now, and when the Weimar Republic was one of the most, if not the most progressive country in the world, like or at least in Europe, it was the most progressive. It was like the most accepting of gay rights at the time, trans rights, and so on. And there was a lot of Jewish, quote unquote, Jewish power in the country. That isn't to imply that like Jewish people are some kind of like monolithic group, but it is to say that people with that ethno-religious background had power in the country, right? This was all taken away in an instant, and like I don't think it's unreasonable to suggest that the current cultural climate wherein trans people enjoy a certain level of affluence and a certain level of media attention, of forms of affirmative action that are granted to trans people, that they could, say, in a world where Ron DeSantis becomes president, Moore v. Harper goes through with a conservative ruling, and Republicans just gerrymander the shit out of all of the states, after they win both houses of Congress. That's bye-bye for democracy. It's just gone, like, or at the very least, it's heavily limited. But you look at these laws that, like, Ron DeSantis in Florida, for example, is passing, like, greatly limiting freedom of expression, and the general freedom of people. And I think you can make a good case to say that, like, this could be like a Vladimir Putin style scenario in America, that we could have like sort of a Russian fascist type situation, and the political climate could change to that. I think you can make a pretty solid argument for this. And in that scenario, in these liberal states where trans people are getting promoted and kind of held up and given this level of affluence and safety, those liberal states would cease to be liberal. And this broader liberal culture, espoused by social media, or rather promoted by social media and media institutions, this would cease to exist as well. And I think it's possible that in that scenario, after that, you could see a genocide occurring. If not a genocide, then at the very least, like, us going into hiding, And I suppose that's what I mean when I say that, like, trans people are like the new Jews. There was a time before the Holocaust when Jews were seeing more freedom, more power. It all got taken away. And then after the Holocaust, you see a time where Jews are experiencing more freedom, more power, more than any other time in history. And now you're seeing a rise in fervent anti-Semitism. It's really endangering the broader population of Jews. You have someone really famous like Kanye West going out there and espousing these antiquated conspiracy theories, powing around promoting someone like Nick Fuentes, and people in the media either giving a tacit form of support or an overt form of support from positions that, like, are pretty openly visible. You have Trump entertaining him at Mar-a-Lago, and people like Kyrie Irving, posting the Black Israelite shit. Like, we're in a time now where being Jewish is getting more and more dangerous, right? And so, just like back then, the tide could turn, and all that progress gone in an instant. I think the same is true right now, that all the progress we've made towards ensuring acceptance for these people and safety for these people, um, it could be erased. And I think we're watching something similar play out with trans people now, and that's incredibly dangerous. And this current political climate we're in, it definitely doesn't give me hope. I'll put it like that. I do think that the best progressive people can do is take care of their mental health, eat better, take care of themselves and those around them. Learn about firearm safety, and buy guns. Like, it is true that firearms increase the chances of suicide or bodily injury of those around you. I wouldn't argue for proliferating firearms in the hands of people who are not going to be responsible for them. Obviously, those are things that should be taken into account, but we need to be having progressive communities of people who are taking care of themselves, their mental well-being, who are, rising to positions of prominence in culture and in the economy, and pushing for their ideas from those positions of power, and you know, getting firearms training, knowing how to wield these things in a safe and responsible way. Because there's a hell of a lot of people out there who are, in a not so unlikely scenario, going to have the institutional backing of all levels of government, who have a lot of those guns and definitely know how to use them. And that's really a terrifying prospect. And so, I don't go with the totally alarmist perspective espoused by that one particular individual. I do think there's truth to what's being said. Now, with these midterms that just happened, it seems like Americans generally are opposed to extremism. Like, a lot of the culture war stuff, like in regards to trans people, just didn't work. It literally just didn't work. So, maybe it's not all doom and gloom, but I would be cautious. I would be cautious about how I conduct my life, as well as the kind of rhetoric that I would espouse in these tense times. Which is, I suppose, sort of the motivation for making this video, clarifying what my stance actually is, because, if I just say trans people are the new Jews in the kind of way that I said in that video, it could just sound like some crypto Nazi shit, and people might not actually know what I mean when I say that. So I just wanted to put that out there. And yeah, stay safe. Stay well, take care of yourselves, and God bless you and your families.